Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. John Kelly, Profiler here, and welcome. Welcome to today's episode, which is a very sad and special episode. It's called Depression, Serial Killer of Our Youth. I'm very concerned about depression in our youth. Recently, Saoirse Kennedy Hill's toxicology report came back. It was recently released. And it upsets me quite a bit because what we have is a 22-year-old beautiful, vivacious girl that was found overdosed. It's called an accidental overdose. The other thing that upsets me is she suffered from depression since her teens, maybe even before that. To me, depression is cancer of the mind. That's the way I define it. I call it cancer of the mind. And the reason I call it that is because cancer eats you from the inside out, right? Well, same thing with depression. Depression will eat your mind from the inside out. It starts off subtly with cognitive distortions. Those are thought distortions. We start off with self-criticizing thinking, negative thinking. And when we look at this negative thinking, this causes low self-esteem in the beginning. It's very subtle the way this takes place. But then this can progress, if untreated, to depression and even major depression, severe enough to set up a situation where a person may think about harming themselves and eventually suicide. So it's very important that depression gets treated very, very quickly. Again, self-criticizing thinking can lead to self-destructive thinking, and lots of times what we end up with is self-medication. We don't want to feel or hear this kind of thinking taking place in our mind. I call it the little bullshitter in our head, to be honest with you. So we want to shut them up, so we get on some medication to kind of drown them out, okay? Now, what's upsetting me with Saoirse's toxicology report are the drugs that were found in there. And I'm looking at methadone, I'm looking at alcohol, I'm looking at diazepam. Now, I've got to tell you, these are all strong central nervous system depressants. You cannot treat depression with central nervous system depressants. It doesn't work. It only complicates and compounds the mental depression. If you're pharmacologically ingesting central nervous system depressants, it's only going to really complicate and make your emotional depression and your mood a lot worse. So it's going to cause the progression to take place even faster and move you quicker towards major and severe depression, severe enough to hurt yourself. The only drug that found in her system was fluoxetine, and that drug was the only drug that was an antidepressant. That's what's supposed to be taken for depression. But that can't stand up to sponge. That's like a glass of water compared to a river. When you try to equate it to fighting depression, fluoxetine can't stand up to all these other central nervous system depressants. It's impossible. Fluoxetine gets drowned right out. Doesn't even really get to first base. You know, I think the most important thing is that we focus on how important the minds of our children are. And I think Walt Disney said it best, that our greatest natural resource is the minds of our children. Yep, Walt Disney. That's exactly what he said. That the minds of our children are our greatest natural resource. Not oil, not coal, not gold, not steel. Our greatest natural resource is the minds of our children, Walt Disney. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate you. We can't thank you enough for all your comments. Please feel free to comment on this as much as you'd like. And again, we're thinking about starting a second channel on mental health and addiction. Let us know your feelings on that. What's most important is make it a great day and take care of yourself out there. Thank you so much.